Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the forum debate for the 8th District Bristol. It's put on by the Ward 1 Neighborhood Association. I want to first thank the school for letting us be here once again, and also the candidates for being here. And, of course, once again, all of you, like I said from last week's debate too, because we can't do this without you as well. So the rules are simple, just like the last debate. We got questions in the box that was written by you. If we have more time at the end, if we have other questions out there, we'll take them as well too. So we just drew numbers from 1 to 5 to see who would go first for the first opener. Each of them is going to have a 2-minute opener and a 2-minute closer, and they got the numbers who go, first, second, third, fourth, and fifth, like that. Again, that's basically the rules there. So I just want to introduce now the Ward 1 City Councilor, Leo Chiquette.
Thank you. Thank you, Scott. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Leo Choquette. I am the Ward 1 City Councilor for New Bedford. So for some of you folks that don't know me, who are from Fall River, Freetown, Acushnet, and Westport, of course, I am the Ward 1 City Councilor. I put this debate on because one of these fine individuals, one of the 5 here, will be the next 8th Bristol District Representative in the General Court of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And tonight's debate is a chance for audience questions that have been submitted, so it's not, people yelling questions from the audience. It's going to be questions read, and each of the 5 individuals will then answer the question to their best of their ability. So that being said, I just quickly want to recognize we have a couple city councilors here. Councilor at Large Ian Abreu. Ward 3 City Councilor Sean Oliver. And I was told, and there's the City Council President of the Great Whaling City of New Bedford, Naomi Carney. Thank you. It is my pleasure and my honor to introduce the morning mayor. We brought him out of retirement, but he's really not retired. My good friend and yours, Mr. Phil Paleologos.
Thank you. Thank you, Leo. Thank you. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Oh, all right. We got a live one out there. Thank you very, very much. First of all, Scott, for what you have done to put this together, and also to Leo for being such a newly elected public servant. You have done a tremendous amount of good public service, and you ought to be commended for that, Leo. Hello. When you get up to Boston, what's the first thing you're going to do? Never mind. We want to be as informative, as fair, and as educational as we can be, because we are facing some very serious things in cities that need to be looked at with a mature attitude. With that said, before we start, thank you all ahead of time for wanting to serve the public. In this day and age, you people are rarities because you will be up at 11 o'clock at night taking the phone calls. You're the ones who are going to have all the, both criticism and pats on the backs from your constituents. So thank you ahead of time for being great public servants. Our first question will be from the box itself, right, Leo? Okay. And let me do this then. Seeing that Mother Nature is wreaking havoc on our nation, I ask that we all, in a prayerful way, put our hearts together because people have lost family members. People have lost their homes. People's livelihoods have vanished in a catastrophe that they say happens every 100 years. With that, let's, as great Americans, come together as this nation always does, because there's one thing that is greater than the power of a hurricane, and that is our concerted will together. Shall we begin? Okay. I want your help, by the way. I want you up here pretty soon. We are going to begin tonight with the opening statements of our candidates. And Leo, I'll be depending on you for time and microphone and everything else. Okie dokie.
And I promise I won't stand up for every single answer, but I'm going to start out with this one. So first of all, thank you again for putting this on, to everybody involved. Thank you again. It is wonderful to be here. So there are three core pillars that make up a good and effective state legislator. The first is probably the most important. It's constituent service. I believe that a representative needs to be available and accessible and receptive to the needs of every member of the district at any time. You mentioned 11 o'clock. That would be a lot earlier than I'm used to getting phone calls from for people. So hey, but there's the thing is that it's important that you know that your concerns are being listened to at all times and that they're being acted upon. And I pledge as a member of this district and as the representative of this district to listen to every single one of you and to represent the entire district, not toe a party line. The second thing is being able to actually get things done in the state legislature. So interestingly enough, as a Republican, I'd actually sit on more committees because there's not a lot of us up there. So that means I'll have a greater voice and a greater ability to actually work on the issues that come before the State House. So, and that's something that's worth thinking about. I also have a long history of building coalitions and actually being able to solve problems. So, the third thing is having fresh, actionable ideas. I am committed to bold solutions, things that actually are real reforms that will move the needle, things like cutting the cost of starting a business, standing up for senior housing security, standing up for affordability, accountability, and transparency at every turn. My name is Christopher Thrasher, and I'm very happy to be here, and I hope to be able to answer all your questions tonight. Thank you so much. Who's next? Hey, all right. There you go, sir. Yeah, no worries.
Thank you, Chris. Hello, everyone. First, I'd like to thank our moderator, Phil Paleologos, for his time here. The morning mayor, it's truly a legend here. Thank you. Ward 1, City Councilor Leo Choquette. Where are you? Oh, there you are. Thank you, Leo, for being here. Thank you for having this. The Ward 1 Neighborhood Association in Scott Pemberton. Thank you. This is a very good platform that we have here. I think it's doing very well. So, to my fellow candidates, thank you very much for being here as well. It does take a lot of guts to get up here in front of everyone and run for office and, you know, put it all out there and knock on a lot of doors and do a lot of work, right? So, thanks for being here. But anyway, for those of you that don't know me or that didn't meet me outside, I'm Jesse St. Gelais. I turned 41 years old just a couple weeks ago. Reason why I'm saying that is because I do look young, and my mom and my dad are out there. So, you know, I've been getting those compliments a lot, so I just wanted to say that. But I was born and raised here in New Bedford. So I grew up right on Cedar Grove Street in New Bedford, right over here. And then back in 1993, I moved to Acushnet. So I've been there for about 30 years. in Acushnet. As an independent candidate, I'm not cuffed to anybody as far as the party goes. So I am not part of a political party. I'm not going to toe a party line. I'm going to work for you. So, you know, I'm asked that a lot as far as why did you not choose a party? I feel that I feel that people over party is exactly what we need to be all about here. We need to get back to the basics and represent people. Stop towing the party line. So, anyway, very proud of my family that's sitting out there. I'm looking at them right now. I see the hope in their eyes that tomorrow's going to get better, and it will, because I'm going to keep working and working and working to make the world a better place. That's really my goal here. But whether it be fighting for our fishing industry or, you know, relieving the agricultural industry or bringing our tax dollars back to our cities, that's my #1 priority here. So I look to take my experience running my family insurance agency, you know, and bring that up to the State House and, you know, use some common sense in government, because I think that is lacking these days. So one thing a couple things I just want to bring up, and then I'll let you go real quick. You know, for far too long, I've been, you know, seeing that veterans are underappreciated. Our seniors, they're at a breaking point where they can barely afford to live, and they're barely hanging on. You have working families working harder than ever, and we have an issue as far as, you know, drug addiction and mental illness. And we need to really actually stop using those platforms to get elected and actually do something about it. So I am all about trying to make changes here and fix the problems. Oh, I'm sorry, I just saw the red sign. You'll have to forgive me. It's my first time here. So anyway, thank you, everyone. Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, I'm going to have to read it so I can get all the points I'd like to get across. I'd like to thank the Standard Times New Bedford Ward 1 Neighborhood Association. It's the second time Leo's invited us here. I appreciate it. Leo Shukrat, and for sponsoring tonight's debate. My name is Manny Soares. I'm an independent candidate for state representative. I'm a lifelong resident of the 8th Bristol District, and I currently reside in Westport with my wife, Michelle. While I serve on the Westport Select Board and Westport Planning Board, for over 40 years I have worked hands-on providing clean water, providing hazardous waste removal, and preserving our environment. On the job from the voters of the district, and as well as during my service on various public boards, I know that our environment is probably the #1 issue in the 8th District, Bristol. Every day on the South Coast is affected by our environment. From our families, our jobs, to everyday life. I've watched as our local farmers have struggled and our water quality has been compromised by pollution. These issues are not distant. They're here right now. While I understand that there are many issues facing our residents, I believe that for us here, protecting our local natural resources should be top priority. As your state representative, I will work hard every day to ensure that our state government works with our local communities and fund and address those important environmental concerns. I'm running as an independent candidate for the state representative because I'm being unencumbered by partisan politics, but rather focused on the needs of the people. Is what matters to me. At least one candidate in this debate has been ordained by the political machine to be the heir apparent for the vacant seat. What the political machine forgets is the only people who have the right to choose their next representative are you, the voters. As an independent legislator, I will be able to work across the aisles with only the needs of our citizens to consider. I will be able to be a true voice for what really matters, the people of the 8th District, Bristol. I'm passionate about our precious natural resources, and I'm known as a person who gets things done. If these traits that you would like to see on Beacon Hill, on your behalf, I respectfully ask that you vote Manny Soares on November 5th for Massachusetts State Representative, 8th District, Bristol. Thank you.
Good evening, and thank you all for coming. Thank you, Phil, Scott, and Leo for putting this together. My name is Laura Hadley, and I'm delighted to be here. At the end of the day, our representatives need to represent the people's interests at the state level. And it's critical that it's not the other way around. We are at a juncture in history between climate change and the list goes on. The environment, the economy, you name it, and there seems to be a divide. And at the end of the day, we're all human. And so keeping our common humanity central and being able to have a dialogue with everyone, regardless of what color hat they wear, is important to move forward. I will keep this very brief so that we can get right into the issues. A bit about me. I was born and raised in this area and left for law school and then returned about 15 years ago or so. And I also have a focus and a lifelong passion for clean water and constitutional rights. Neither one defend themselves, and as a community, we need to be looking forward for the next 100 years and doing it together collaboratively and in a positive manner. Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Steve Willett, and I'm running to be your next state representative. I'd like to thank the organizers for putting this together, my family for being here, and all of you for coming out for this big job interview we're doing here. I've been on the Westport Select Board for over 20 years, and have served on countless boards and committees from Conservation Commission, to Bike Walking Path, to infrastructure oversight. Professionally, I'm a licensed plumber, and I've worked with local public school systems for the past 30 years. I was a reserve police officer in Westport for nearly 20 years, and served as a call firefighter. I have firsthand experience which show me what our towns need from their state government, and I want to help them get it. I'm running to be your state representative because I believe I can use my proven leadership and years of experience to build on what I've done for Westport. When I see a problem, I bring people and resources together to find a solution, and then I roll up my sleeves and get to work. For example, years ago, the Route 6 and Sanford Road intersection in Westport was one of the most dangerous in the region. After a series of major accidents, I created a task force to address the issue. We worked with our legislators and state and regional agencies to solve the problem. Together, we made numerous upgrades and made it safer. We got the job done. I will start my team with relationships like these already in place and hit the road running. I want you to believe that when you send your children to school, they're in a safe learning environment, that your schools have what they need to run the facilities and to provide a great educational experience. I believe that our seniors and veterans also need safe spaces. They need communities that are accessible, walkable, housing available, and the services they need. You can believe I work hard for you on Beacon Hill. Senator Mike Rodrigues and Representative Paul Schmidt have endorsed me because they know I develop relationships and work with others to get things done for the people I serve. I'm asking for you to believe in Steve and vote for me on November 5th. Thank you for this opportunity.
We're going to begin the questions. Again, we have no questions from the moderator, all from you. All right? And let us begin. Are we going to go right down this way, or is there an order? Did they?
We're going to stagger it, but we'll start with Mr. Thrasher.
Okay. All right, Attorney Thrasher. Nice to see you all. The question: what is your stance on offshore wind?
So I'm very glad somebody's asked this question because I don't know if you noticed this little button here. Earlier today, I was attending or attempted to attend what was supposed to be a ribbon cutting ceremony with Senator Warren, Representative Keating, and Governor Healy, except they just decided what was going to be a public event is suddenly not a public event, and instead ended up with a group protesting the offshore wind scam. And yes, I did just say scam, because we have been sold a bill of goods. And I know this might not be a popular thing in New Bedford because it sounds good with the economic, supposedly there's going to be economic benefits, supposedly the jobs might actually come to fruition. But realistically speaking, what you're seeing is an issue where it's not about necessarily the thousands of jobs they're creating thousands of man-hour jobs. It's a very different formula. Anyway, the bottom line is what they are trying to build and what they are succeeding so far in bringing up these massive turbines. These things, we're basically the guinea pig. These things have not been used anywhere else in the world. The ones that they have out in Europe, they're not even remotely the size of these gargantuan monstrosities that haven't even, obviously they're not built to standards. Otherwise, I wouldn't have pieces of the windmill floating up onto the shores of a couple of houses down from me, and I'm 4 miles up the Westport River. The offshore wind boondoggle is something where we have to stand up and take a stand against this. And you have to ask yourself, why is this happening in New Bedford, the richest fishing port in the nation? Why is it that they've decided to base it here? This is a serious issue. We need people to stand up and understand that the economic benefits, the environmental benefits, they are absolutely not coming to fruition. And in fact, what's happening is the exact opposite of what we were promised. The offshore wind scam has to be stopped. Thank you.
I'm going to repeat the question just so that our memory serves us well. What is your stance on offshore wind?
Excuse me. Well, I support clean energy, green energy. Obviously, this project is a concern when we have, like Chris mentioned, we have stuff coming up on our shores, chunks of fiberglass, chunks of styrofoam. In Westport, we just formed a committee to look into this deeper, provide the crucial information back to the town so we know what's going on, the different views. But obviously, there's a pretty good concern of what's going on out there. I was on the board when the Bouchard oil freighter split, and we split.
I see the buttons on.
It's flashing red now. Yeah, it might be that. This one too.
Get me batteries.
I'll let Leo play with it. But to wrap it up, I was on the select board when the Bouchard oil spill happened, the oil freighter, and we had miles and miles of oil ruining our wildlife and ruining our shorelines. The whole summer, all you could smell was the stench of crude oil. So I have a concern, but obviously this project, at the very least, needs to be looked over very carefully. Thank you. I'm moving on. I think I pretty much wrapped it up. Thank you.
The question once again is, what is your stance on offshore wind?
Thank you, Bill. As a general matter, offshore wind is not inherently problematic, and green energy is exceptionally important. And we need to make sure that we are learning our lessons from the past and not making the same mistakes over and over again. Specifically, we need to make sure that anything, infrastructure, otherwise, that is going to be implemented is done so in a responsible manner. It is appalling that there are pieces of windmill washing up on our beaches.
Not to worry. I think I can look it in.
I'll hold it very gently. Transparency in the process is essential, and communities that do not want a cable running through
clear ecosystems.
All right, so unfortunately, you guys are going to have to project your voice if I'm with Addison. Said, you want to be politicians, so. Right.
We can't have
I'll look to see if I can find some double-A batteries.
we can't just have cables showing up in the dead of the night. The clearing that was done at Forest Stagna Beach was unconscionable, and we need oversight and involvement. Personally, I think that offshore wind, where they're currently placing them, is not the best idea. And we need to make sure that anything that is done in the proper way with people's input, not just thrown in with deals put together behind closed doors. That's unacceptable. We need accountability, transparency, and it's working together collectively. Thank you. Try.
Come to a place that your stands on offshore. I'm in favor of green energy. That being said, the offshore wind project is under construction. And the offshore wind project is presently under construction. My concerns with that became, I've also been involved in the Great Point Power Station reclamation. So that power plant was closed down and $1 billion infrastructure was COVID. Going forward, editing was green energy. It's been West Court sitting on a board saying produce more solar, double use. That being said, I'm concerned to the way the offshore wind's being built. The issue is that of course select what colleague said, Steve, fabulous stuff washing up on our beaches, because you can see washing up on our beaches. And then the other thing, when I first heard about the offshore one, we were talking about heating on the West. Well, my concern there was, I do know that Somerset, the Great Point Power Station, during COVID, they installed a 500-ton EC converter to access us into the sand. They got to bring the offshores and still westable on the chain in Westport or Victoria. Again, I'm looking at it. We're going to be a shortcut just so needs to be up direct. Environmentally, we need to really keep on, make sure that things are built right and they're in compliance. I'm not in favor of the lines that they have out there. It's failed in other countries. Japan has a good system. I think we just got to relook at it. It's key built right now. Can we stop it? I don't think so. Just wouldn't keep looking at it.
Could you just repeat that question, please?
Yes, of course. What is your stance on offshore wind?
Yep, so my stance on offshore wind, I actually called in the radio about a week ago on that, and said that we actually have to put the brakes on right now. There's a huge lack of transparency. As you can see, that our electricity bills have went up substantially. You look at your delivery charge versus how much you actually are using, and it's ridiculous, and it's killing people. Okay, aside from what it's doing to our marine life, you have dead marine life washing up on our shores. You have blades that are washing up on our shores. I don't think anybody wants to eat any fish and chip with a little bit of fiberglass in it, last time I checked. So I think that we have to put the brakes on this right now. It's hurting our fishing industry too. And that is the #1 industry in the United States. So as someone who is part of the New Bedford Port Society, I'm on the board of directors for that. I look on that wall and I see those names and they mean something to me, because those people risk their lives to put food on the table and help our economy out there. So we gotta keep that in mind with the offshore wind industry. I'm for all forms of energy, don't get me wrong. I think that we need to explore that, but we also need to look at what's going on here and how it is affecting us here locally. So that's my answer on offshore wind.
Would you? Yeah, okay, all right.
Got a guy on it?
Check.
I didn't do it.
Press that button.
It's precedent, huh? Check.
Hello, yeah. President Mason, would you like another 30 seconds or 40 seconds? Because you didn't have a microphone and a lot of people didn't hear you. Let's see. That. Well, like Jesse just said about putting the brakes on, that's kind of like, sitting on the board in Westport, which create this rate. So, for oversight of the offshore wind, and as they proposed at different locations to come ashore. Like I did say, you might not have heard me, it's being built right now. So, it's kind of, we've had some people in Westport saying that is it a time to start the committee? It's kind of catch up. We gotta get on it as soon as we can and make sure that whatever's going wrong out there, they correct. Because obviously it's not being done correctly.
Did the mic go out on you as well, Laura? Yeah. So would you like amplification?
Thank you, gentlemen. It is extremely concerning to hear that it is already being built. That is, we know that the turbines are being built, but there has not been any consensus as to where cable is going to land. And that is part of the reason why I am running for office, because we need transparency and accountability in government. We can't just have a cable show up in the middle of the night. That's highly imprudent at best. And to hear that it is already being built in Westport is extremely concerning, and I agree with Jesse that we need to put the brakes on it. Thank you for your time.
You don't want to be the call? Everybody else have their say?
Is everybody all set with this? Because I don't want to be unfair to anybody. Okay. This is a three-part question. First part is, what is your stance on the Second Amendment? Do you own any firearms? You'll follow up. And what is your position on the recently passed H 4885, that's the Massachusetts gun law? All right, so let's begin, Leo, right now.
Okay.
Hate to do this again, but can you just repeat that real quick,
Yes,
please?
of
There was three
course.
parts there. Thank you.
Yes. What is your stance on the Second Amendment? Do you own any firearms? And what is your position on the recently passed H 4885, the new Massachusetts gun bill?
Okay, so I do own firearms. Actually, my wife and I go out and date sometimes and go shooting. But I do own firearms for personal protection. My stance on the Second Amendment, I do think that it's very important as one of our rights in our Constitution. So that it's something that has to be protected, and we have to stand by that. Now, responsible gun ownership is what we're talking about here. And that's something that we have to advocate for. And I do think that Massachusetts does have it right. I think that maybe we can even do a little bit more continuing education with that for people that do have their guns. I do think now that as far as what the governor did, rushing that through, her emergency order there, I think that's going to hurt us. There's law-abiding citizens out there that are going to be subject to committing a crime because there's no clarification. Very vague, the language in there. So we haven't ironed out some things in that bill that I think needs to be ironed out before you're going to rush it through. So hopefully that answered your question, but again, I do support the Second Amendment. I do think that the emergency language in that bill is going to be harmful to a legal, law-abiding gun owner. We need to ensure that we're always protecting law-abiding citizens. Stop going after the law-abiding citizen. Let's reform the laws so that we can go after the bad guys, the people that are breaking the laws. Thank you.
Do you want the question repeated?
Please repeat
Yeah,
the question.
of course. What is your stance on the Second Amendment? Do you own any firearms? And what is your position on the recently passed Bill 4885? That's the gun Massachusetts bill that was recently passed.
I do stand behind the Second Amendment. It's one of our civil rights. I am a gun owner for both protection, sport, and hunting my entire life. Once again, as Jesse had said, the legal gun owners are who we need to protect here. We need to keep the guns out of the hands of criminals and protect our gun rights. It's an amendment for civil rights. I stand behind it.
What is your stance on the Second Amendment, and do you own any firearms? And what is your position on the recently passed 4885 bill, the gun bill? Thanks.
I believe that the Second Amendment is absolutely critical to our democracy and really should not be infringed and constrained any near means necessary. The recent bill, I believe, is an overreach, and we can be more careful and thoughtful in enacting firearm policies so that we actually respect and protect our constitutional rights. I do not own a gun, and I do like to go shooting from time to time, and I very much support the Second Amendment.
Working for me? There we go. I also support the Second Amendment. I do not own a firearm at this time, but I do have the highest license to carry you can have because I'm a former police officer. I was a marksman and an expert in firearms, but I personally, I'm not a big gun fan, but you certainly have the right to have one if you have that need. Regarding the law that was passed, I have a little concern about overreaching. If any of you were here a couple of weeks ago with District Attorney Quinn, he talked about how sometimes it can be hard to prosecute these people. So we're passing more laws when we can't take care of what we have, and that's a concern. A law-abiding citizen shouldn't be an issue. Somebody getting caught with them 9 and 10 times should be a major issue and it should be addressed. Thank you.
I think I was pretty good on this one, thank you. So, the right to bear arms shall not be infringed. It's pretty clear to me. Now, I will say this, the gun laws that make sense in Montana aren't gonna make sense on Phil Train, okay? But, that being said, so I was at the Fall River Rod and Gun Club for their field day a few weeks ago, and I was talking with responsible gun owners who are now going to be criminals based on the law that was just passed. So, it's absolutely ridiculous that that law was passed. It's also worth noting that the former representative, or the retiring representative for this district is a good man. But he also told people that he would vote against that bill. And instead, when it came down to it, he voted the party line and voted for it. That, on top of that, a petition has been circulated that already has well above the required signature count to make sure that that law does not go in effect. Well, guess what? Our governor, our Democratic governor, decided that democracy doesn't matter. It's funny how Democrats do that a lot these days. But they decided that democracy doesn't matter and instead immediately put in an emergency law for the law to take effect. Our police officers don't even know how to enforce this law that was rushed through along with other legislation that was not properly vetted. This is a serious problem on Beacon Hill because we have a single-party supermajority. They can't even get their house in order, so they're rushing bills at the last minute without reading them, without knowing what's in there, and this is why I'm running. It's because we cannot afford to send another representative. There are not a lot of open seats in this election. Massachusetts has the least amount of competitiveness for their legislative elections. This is an open seat. We cannot afford to send another party line Democrat vote to the State House. Thank you.
This is a two-part question. One asks about experience itself.
how important is experience? And then the follow-up to that is, how will you handle the likely situation that your constituents may want you to take a vote which does not match the stands the party you represent take? So did you understand the follow-up to that?
Okay.
Then, how do we have the order, Leo?
Start in the middle and go down to the line. At Burton St. Clair.
Yes, I agree like that. Thank you, Val. Experience itself is important. The framing of experience is not totally clear to me. I understand the question generally. And as far as whether or not I would have followed a party line, one, I'm an independent for the reason that it depends on the issue. And at the end of the day, the voters need to be listened to. If everyone signs petitions and votes at the ballot box and votes at town meeting not to build a tower, don't build it. If they do the same thing with the water and sewer project, don't do it. And if they're potentially going to do the same thing with an offshore wind cable, that's not representative government. Our democracy depends on our elected officials representing the will of the people. And when they make their voices heard clearly, our elected officials need to listen. Thank you.
Can you repeat the question one more time, please?
Of course. That would be great. First of all,
How important is experience? Then, how would you vote if your constituents wanted you to vote differently than your stance on a question, but the political party that you represent is on the opposite side of what you want to vote for? So how would you vote in that instance?
Thank you. I think experience is essential, and that's what I'm going to bring to the 8th District Bristol is experience. I've been working in the 8th District Bristol my entire life. I have a 40-year career at this. As far as how I would vote, I'm looking to represent the people and businesses of the 8th District. I'm listening to what their concerns are. I'm going to vote along those lines. I am not tied to any party. I'm representing the people.
you need the question repeated?
I'm going to let you off the hook this time. Thank you, Don. So experience does matter. When you look up here at this stage right here, I don't see one state representative right here, including myself. So if that's what we're talking about in that question, I want you to all just realize that none of us are state representatives. Experience that I bring to the table is life experience. So I know how to write and balance a checkbook, right? I run a business. I sign the front and the back of a paycheck, okay? So that kind of experience, common sense, and how to make sure that my business runs right, my clients are taken care of, I protect their most valuable assets, I make sure that my employees can put food on their tables. That's the kind of experience that really matters to me in the real world. What I will bring to the State House, though, is that common sense right there. Now, as far as the second part of the question, right, let me just make sure I say it. How do I separate myself from everyone? I think I just answered that, right? We're all not state representatives, right? I run a business. I have a young family that is in this right now, living in this, tough environment to raise a family, really. I mean, the cost of living is through the roof. So, yeah, I have a lot of reality experience I think I bring to the table. I am the vice president of a nonprofit, oversee a lot of money there. Again, finance committee and board of directors on another one. But again, I get a lot of knowledge from the doorsteps when I'm knocking these doors. So I'm learning a lot from everyone. knocked about 5,000 doors at this point, maybe more. But I will bring that knowledge from listening to my constituents to the State House. So that's the experience that I will bring to me.
Thank you. As I mentioned in my opening remarks, I think experience does make a difference. I've been a selectman for over 20 years. It helps you reach out, helps you get things done. You get to work with legislators, you get to work with people in Boston, you get to work with your fellow communities. So I think it makes a big difference down the line. As far as crossing party lines and not voting with my constituents, I'll repeat, I am a Democrat. And the question before this was about a question that was passed by the governor that I said I didn't totally agree with, that needs to be adjusted. So I don't have any problem sticking up for what people believe in, crossing party lines if I need to get things done.
That's right.
So first off on experience, I do think that experience matters in if you have experience actually being in town government or state government. Obviously, as Jesse said, none of us here are state representatives yet. But I served on the Westport School Committee, on the Finance Committee, the Economic Development Task Force, the Audit Committee, Long-Term Building Committee Chair, trying to do something with the old high school building there. And I think it's important that you have experience knowing how to actually get things done, how the legislature actually works. And also, it's worth noting here that I am an attorney, and when we go up to the State House, what we're actually going to be doing is writing laws. We'll be writing laws, we'll be interpreting statute, and making sure that the laws that get passed actually represent the needs and wants of our district. You know, like I said, I'm an attorney. I am also a small business owner. I've got a young family myself, and I understand what it's like to make ends meet. But you have to have the understanding of how legislation actually works and be able to actually get things done and get things passed. And I say again, as to the second part of the question, what happens when a Democrat gets up there and because of the Democratic supermajority, you have a situation where maybe the majority leader says, you know, we're not going to give you the zero mark unless you go at party line. I won't have that problem. And the other thing is the ultimate responsibility of a state representative is to represent the people of that district. We have a great thing in this district because we have everything from a right to farm community in Westport all the way to the inner cities of Fall River, New Bedford. We've got Cushnet, Freetown. We have a situation where our district is an entire cross-section of the Commonwealth and also the entire nation. And I would absolutely relish the opportunity to make sure that each and every voice in each and every one of our cities and towns is heard on Beacon Hill, and never, never worry about party line. I worry about what the voters actually want out of the district. Thank you.
As we continue this evening, this question was given to me by Leo Cat.
Councilor's prerogative.
Counselor's prerogative, all right? Absolutely. The question is a little lengthy. For the past 5 years, citizens and voters in this community have been fighting an unnecessary trash transfer station proposed by Parallel Products, which would have detrimental impacts on the city, its infrastructure, and risk the health and safety, property values, and quality of life for thousands of people who live, work, attend school, and participate in recreational activities here. The citizens and voters want to know what you've done to fully educate yourself on this project and their valid concerns and what you could do and would do as their elected representative to help protect this community from further pollution, exploitation, and industrial harm. I understand it's lengthy. Would you like me to repeat it slower just to get a feel for it, or do you think you got it? All of you? Yes? Good. Okay. Where do we start? since we're mixing it all up, we'll just start again with Attorney Gratcher. Just go straight down the line. See what's happening over here. See you so. We'll see us. Everyone in okay. So this one has like 11 side.
Sure. No problem. I believe we talked about that. If we didn't talk about it in the public sector, we talked about it inside at the first meeting that you had many months ago. And there are citizens concerned. Obviously, I share your concern. Something like that, I think we need to get together with the city council and make sure you have the backing. And that we go forward with what you feel the citizens want out of it and what you want as a community. God forbid we go up and fight this and find out 5 city councilors want it because of the economic impact it'll do to your community, and you can increase schools or whatever reason you want to have it. So you got to have a sit down, a round table, and find out where the city is coming from. And I agree, there was a concern at the first meeting, I heard it, and there are concerns there with what's going on in people's backyards. And again, I agree with it.
All right. We want to go with it's not throughout. I've heard it of it. Like it.
The issue of our health and safety and well-being of our communities is absolutely paramount. And having deals like this proposed deal done in back rooms is bad for our communities. It's bad for our water, it's bad for our health, and I do not support it. If constituents want to move forward with it, then more details need to be looked at, though at this point it does not seem to reflect the wants and needs of everyday citizens by any means. Thank you.
I think I did attend that first meeting, but I didn't take that out of that first meeting. But in the last few weeks, I've been on campaigning over this area in Freetown. In fact, I spoke to a couple of business owners of homeowners today on this same exact issue. And I would need a little more information. I mean, I believe it's an existing business in the industrial park at this present time that's looking to expand, right?
Yes.
So again, what we need is this type of thing with public meetings so people can get in these meetings on the expansion and you just hold them to the fire and keep them environmentally compliant. I mean, it's an existing business and they were all looking for business. I believe it's a recycling company. Again, I don't have all the facts in front of you now, and this just come across, but we're looking forward, moving forward, is like they said, on like a sea level. You know, I believe that's also that is the same industrial park as Crapo Hill.
Crapo Hill is detached. Crapo Hill is farther north, but I guess technically yes.
Yeah.
It is patchwork work.
But you know, while I was living in Douglas, Crapo Hill was actually built in Douglas, but everybody thinks it's in Bedford because it was the only access in that area. But there's been a lot of environmental effects from that landfill. A lot of the houses up in that area have polluted waters, and that's at my landfill. But yeah, no, we need input from the public and how can they forward with this expansion of this existing business.
So I've been to every one of these meetings, these neighborhood meetings here. I just want to put that on the record there. I don't think I saw everybody there. But that is a very important issue. We have somebody right there in the audience right there. It's a very good loudspeaker for this issue right here. Parallel products, we cannot allow them to expand. We have to back the people. The people have spoken on this issue. So as your state representative, what I'm going to do is I'm going to listen to you. And I'm going to listen to the people that have spoken, people that live around there, that it's affecting them. They have to deal with that. So I'm going to side with the people. I'm going to urge the Board of Health here in New Bedford to side with the people. I'm going to reach out to Mass DEP and let them know that the people have spoken. Again, it's a very important issue around here in Ward 1, even though it's a little smidgen over here in Ward 1 that we would represent, I would represent if I'm lucky enough, God willing, to be elected. But I can tell you that I will be on your side.
So first of all, Council, I just want to say thank you for asking this question and also framing it the way you did, because you were absolutely correct. This is a situation where our environment and the safety and health of the people of this board are actually an issue. There's other people that say, well, the mayor, got the best deal he could out of the situation. I don't agree with that. And this is a perfect example of where local control and what happens in the neighborhoods on the ground has to be the final say. So absolutely, as a state legislator, I would absolutely take this up, try to whether it's working with the DPW, no matter what it is, or whether with the environmental protection. This is a situation where, as you said, as Jess said, as everybody said, the people have spoken here. And the fact that this continues to be pushed is absolutely unacceptable. And again, thank you, Council, for the leadership on this. And I hope that, I know it's a long-running saga, but I hope the Board of Health will vote accordingly.
Son 15. This question comes from somebody who wants to know, most of you have mentioned elected positions and boards that you've served on. What accomplishment are you most proud of delivering for your town? And Leo, and the selecting and sword measures. Thank you. Stop.
So, I 4 years ago, during COVID, you started having some of these environmental issues that were scoring and starting coming to light. Nitrogen in the river. I got involved on the planning board just for that reason. And then I sat on the infrastructure oversight committee with Steve. Blue 6 task force, economic development task force, and we've been trying to promote sewer and water project that the state has funded and designed for Blue 6. And the one thing that I would like to say that I'm most happy to have accomplished through a lot of efforts of the planning board and the select board was we just recently provided with a $4 million PFAS grant to extend the water main down Route 6 and loop it into one of our elementary schools that has problems with the drinking water. This is the first water main extension in Route 6 since 1986. And I would say that's what I feel is the best accomplishment. I didn't do it alone. Steve was involved in it. The whole planning board, the select board, townwide. And I would say, moving forward, we can't stop there. We'll keep the efforts going. I'm just.
The accomplishment that I would say I'm most proud of for the community is that we have discovered that there are other alternatives that work to clean water. So the 100-year-old idea of having everything go to a water treatment facility, but septic, all of it is simply outdated. Cyanobacteria, the blue-green algae, it's not an algae, it's a bacteria. It's caused by excess nutrients in water, and it's a solvable problem. Green solutions are being applied all over the world. We have implemented them here to great success. And helping to improve our water quality without going back to 100-year-old infrastructure against the will of the people is very important. And looking to see all of the other green technologies that are working all over the world is also something that I'm happy to say I have quite a bit of experience in. And know that there is a better path forward than simply putting in a 100-year-old pipe, because even in the water treatment facilities, they don't actually know how to take out PFAS any better than putting on-tap filtration. I'm also operator training for distribution and treatment facilities, and currently, even the experts say that there isn't a viable solution at the facility. So we need to put on-tap filters in and not waste the money on simple pipes. Thank you.
As a selectman and working on numerous committees, my greatest accomplishment, I believe, is if you go down any of the highways around here, you'll see the cable barriers in the median. What they do is they stop a car from going across the highway and slamming into you on the other side. I'm not responsible for everyone in the state, obviously, but I'm on SERPED. I've been on it for 20 years. It's the regional planning for your roads, your housing, and your build-out. If the cable stopped in Dartmouth, we've had crashes where people come across in the area of White's Restaurant. So I worked with Paul Schmidt and Mike Roderick's. We got the work done, we got the cables done. Within a week, there was already 2 car front ends in the cables that would have went across and slammed into cars coming up the other way. It was quoted in the paper when the paramedics took the people out of the car because they were still banged around pretty good because they hit the cables and they were going pretty fast. So that stopped a sure tragedy going across into 3 lanes of traffic. And I'm pretty proud of the fact that we got that done and probably saved some lives. Thank you.
So the question of what I'm most proud of accomplishing in my work on a board, it might seem mundane, but I'm very proud of the fact that we had a successful contract negotiation with the Westport Teachers Association earlier this year, and we came to an agreement. I think it was one of the first times for a long time where the school year started without with a contract in place. That hadn't been done for a long time. And something that might seem small, but that kind of negotiating victory, that's something that really matters on the ground and actually makes a difference. I'm going to follow that up with something, and just because this was brought up about the water sewer, I got to go and say something here about, I know we don't have a lot of Westport people here today, but the fact is that the voters of Westport, not once but twice, said no to the water sewer project that was proposed. They said no at the ballot box. They said no at the town meeting. But 2 of the gentlemen sitting here, who I respect deeply, both of them, but after the vote was taken, they voted to spend funds for an eminent domain taking for pumping stations for a project that has not been approved by the voters. And that, I have a serious issue with that. And then, again, this vote was taken after the voters had said no, not once, but twice. And to me, again, the ultimate responsibility of the state legislator is to serve the people of their district and to vote and actually represent the people of the district. And I just feel it, like I said, it's a very concerning vote, and it's something you got to consider when you're sending somebody up to say no. Thank you.
Thank you. The second here. Very good points about water quality. It's a very important issue. But aside from that, as far as being part of the Friendly Sons of St. Patrick, it's been a truly an honor. Thank you. And yeah, I served on the board of directors for quite a few years over there. I was just recently elected vice president of that. Very good organization. We do a ton for the community. Grassroots. I mean, you don't get more grassroots than that. We feed people, we clothe people, we help pay for scholarships for them. We do a ton. It's sad that we have to have those, the food banks of the world and charity, It's sad that we have to have that, but it's good that we have that too. It's sad that there's a need for it. But I can tell you right now, my heart is all in that. I am very proud of that organization, the people that I serve with there. We do a ton for our community. And I'll take that again to the state house. That kind of heart is what will follow me. And by the way, I just clapped for a second because I'm also a member of Friendly Sons.
And I wish I was. So you mentioned grassroots. This is grassroots. This is the pride and joy of American democracy. And because of grassroots, we're going to do something a little different. Maybe 2 questions, is that good? Or
Yeah, we'll see. At least one, maybe 2.
1 or 2 questions at random from grassroots. If you have something that you'd like to ask, raise your hand and they will answer it. Anybody? Yes, by all means.
For the people who have, the candidates on,
I'll bring it.
have not,
Oh, hold on just a second.
well, I could talk louder, I have a very loud voice. To the candidates, and to all of you, well, we have 2 candidates, maybe it's for the independents, really, because we have 2 candidates. One is running on the Republican ticket, and another on the Democratic ticket. So I asked the independents, if you don't have a group to caucus with when you get up on the Hill, how do you plan on getting what we need and support for what we need from the other legislators? Because having relationships, and I believe building relationships, having relationships is important. And if you're an independent, sure, you can represent all of us. And we said people, not party. But the way business is done is how you connect with, build, and maintain relationships. So how do you plan on doing it?
Thank you.
Site.
Clear. Say what?
Can't
Conduct a statement. No, so let's start. What's a good follow-up for the July? As far as what you don't follow.
The follow-up for those of you, please, what is there? What do you feel is there as a candidate?
What that has a.
And that's what this, these are for us to get information. And it's wonderful that they have this attitude.
And we'll start here and go down this way. That's so that we keep this there.
Sure thing. I think that question was meant for me, right? People over party? Correct.
All the independents.
Oh, okay.
Because if we're to be get things done, we have to have relationship
Absolutely.
up there on the Hill. So how are you going to do that?
Absolutely.
You don't have a 40 to caucus.
There you go. Perfect. Thank you for the question. So as far as any working relationship, I have a lot of working relationships with actually the current delegation here. Good friend of mine is Chris Hendricks. He's an elected Democrat. I helped him with his campaign. In city councilors, I'm very friendly with all of them. Selectmen in different towns, I'm very friendly with all of them. As far as everyone having a seat at my table, everyone is welcome at my table. I will work with everyone to get the job done. So I think the thing that we have to be concerned with is that when you have a candidate that is towing the party line, I think that would be a big concern because then you're going to be in a political stalemate. You will not get anything done if you have somebody that has their allegiance more to the party than the people. I think that unfortunately right now, there's a little bit of apathy in this world where people have given up on their government. We don't have transparency in the government. We don't have trust in the government. And people aren't willing to give a person like me a chance, an independent, a true independent. I could have caucused. Listen, I could have been a Republican. I was told that I would have better chances if I became a Democrat back in February. I was told, I actually sat down with a few Republicans and they courted me. They wanted me to be a Republican. I could have done a writing candidacy for that. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm not in this to be a career politician. I'm not going to toe a party line, and I want results. I'm going to get you results. That's what I want. And how will I achieve that? By if anything, they're going to want to work with me, to be honest with you. I'm going to be the independent of this. Maybe you don't believe that, but elect me and you're going to see very good results. I will get things done. I can promise you that. But I guess I can agree with Jesse on some of those points. However, I'm a realist. I am an independent, and we're in a democratic state. And I am aware that I will have to caucus with the Democrats in the state. Did you not hear any of what I said? Or you just didn't hear the end? That's right. Right. I'll start from the beginning. I can agree on some of Jesse's points. Once again, I am an independent, but I'm a realist, and this is a democratic state. And if I want to get something done, and we've discussed this on the campaign trail, because I have friends that are Democrats, I have friends that are independents, I have friends that are Republicans. I'm doing it. Since I got involved in politics, I was like Westport is a very democratic community, and I've been an independent for that reason. And again, I'm looking to represent my constituents, and I will voice my opinions. But in order to get something done, we're going to have to roll up our sleeves and caucus with the Democrats in Massachusetts.
It appears that both at the local, state, and national level, one of the challenges is a dialogue. The reason I am an independent is because it really depends on a particular issue. So as far as getting things done in the State House, it's a relatively simple solution. Depending on the issue, caucus with the side that is supportive of what is good and right and true. The supermajority of Democrats, of course, is a challenge, and that's one area that it's so important to have the dialogue. And of course, I will caucus with and meet with everyone in all parties, in all phases, to do the next right thing. Because we are all humans. No one is red and no one is blue. We are all humans. And looking at the particular issue and what matters to the constituents and is best for our futures is essential. And so that is how I will approach it, issue by issue.
You just repeat it again, Phil.
I believe it was from
The question was from the audience.
independence, then you stretched it out to the parties.
Right.
So I think it was how you get things done. So actually, let's do this.
Dan? Yeah.
Let's do this. Let's ask these gentlemen who represent political party, how do they see, what's your strategy in working, or how do you intend to work with members of the other party? Or an independent, if they're in the state house? Is that fair, everyone? Yeah, sure.
I made it known when I came to selectman 24 years ago. I'm a registered Democrat. I felt when I had a political position, my personal feelings is that people should know where I stand on the issues. I'm for human rights. I'm for government that works for you. So my basic beliefs are democratic. I can work with anybody. I'm a moderate Democrat. I have people voting for me that are Republican, for independents, across the board. I felt, in my personal opinion, that people should know where I stand. You don't have to declare what you are in the town elections. I thought it was important that people knew exactly where I stand. I didn't hide behind anything. This isn't something I did 2 weeks before taking out papers for this. I've been Democrat for over 24 years. And people, again, work across the board. I gotta say, our whole Westport Select Board is here. So, you know, they care about the town, they care about the issues. We have different views on things. We just had some 3-2 votes last night. So I think it's good. We all get together. You know, we might throw barbs at each other, but we're not throwing each other across the room like there's been in other years. Okay, thank you very much.
So, let's tell you a little bit of a story that you may not know about me. I got a long career behind me working with independent and third-party candidates, residential level, local level, all the way around. I did decide to register as a Republican after being an unenrolled voter for a very long time, because what I see right now is a coalition building to stand up to things like a Democratic supermajority that just runs legislation through with the lines of debt. We have an affordability crisis in Massachusetts, and a large part of the reason we've had that crisis is because there's a supermajority on Beacon Hill. And I'm going to say on what I do consider an unfortunate reality, but it is a reality, and it's not going to be a popular in this room. And as you could probably tell, I have no, and I don't mind upsetting the apple cart if I think it's right. There's only 2 of us sitting here that are going to be possibly your next state legislature. We're in presidential year, and the numbers are the numbers. And you can take this as someone who has lived and worked it for a long time. And I will tell you, I appreciate, Jesse, things you say about putting people over party, because that hasn't changed. I am still absolutely asking to be your state representative, not to be a Republican or Democrat. I am asking to be your state representative. I am asking to represent you in the state house, not to Corey Long. And that's the bottom line, whether I'm running as a Republican, Independent, Democrat, it doesn't matter. The job of the state representative is to actually represent the people, never to a party line. Andy.
So I'm going to limit it to that one last question. So here's what we're going to do. Before I get to the closing part, I just want to also recognize 2 of my other colleagues who are here from the City Council, at-large Councilor Brian Jones. At-large Councilor Shane Burgo. If I missed anybody else, let me know. Go to everybody.
Hendrick, close it.
Oh, and State Representative Chris Hendricks was here. He will be somebody's colleague who's up here tonight in the future. Back.
Are we going to have our closing statements? Okay. So we have maybe 10 minutes left tonight. Are you satisfied you've got a little bit of information from this? Are you? You know more about these public servants than you did when you walked in? Then mission accomplished. I just want to say again, thank you for displaying the American spirit. And also, how many of you have looked at the ballot questions? How many of you have gone on and taken a look at a sample? Because it's a lengthy ballot, folks. You're going to take time in your voting booth to, if you're going to fill out the whole ballot, it's going to take you a little while because you have 5 questions, plus many people to vote for, or not to vote for. So, may I ask you to, ahead of time, take a look at your questions, go into the voting booth with them written down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you want, we can tell you what they are, but you probably know. be familiar with those questions. There's 5 and all the rest, because some of you are going to be voting on some votes, others others. So with that in mind, thank you all for being here. Let's start with our closing remarks, and we'll just go right down the line.
Thank you so much. Again, thank you to everyone who put this on. This has been a wonderful evening. So I do want to mention one thing on one of the ballot questions that's near and dear to my heart right quick. I'm probably the only guy you're ever going to see or hear saying this. I want to be audited. I think it's imperative that the ballot question about auditing the legislature pass, because at the end of the day, the most important thing about government is that it has accountability and transparency. And right now in the legislature, you have a situation where the legislature is they're not subject to the Open Meetings Act. They're not subject to audits. They get things done in backroom deals mostly, and we just can't tolerate that. So I encourage you to vote for that particular question at the very least. So you've heard a lot up here tonight. We've talked a lot of issues. We haven't talked about all of the issues that are important. We haven't talked about the affordability crisis that much. We haven't really talked about senior housing security around Massachusetts likes 50 out of 50 saying we're senior housing. For senior economic security when housing being a huge part of that. We haven't talked about how hard it is to start a business in this state. I was actually staying in line with these the other day talking to somebody who was getting ready to start a contractor business, and then we were talking about the LLC fee. I mentioned how Massachusetts has one of the largest, or one of the highest, if not the highest, LLC filing fee of $500. It's completely out of whack. It's $45 in some other states. On day one, I'll introduce legislation to cut that fee in half. That's just one of the reforms. I think that we're in a situation where if we elect another Democrat to go up to beat Hillary, that Democrat's going to be hamstrung, because at the end of the day, they have to listen to the party bosses. They have to toe the party lines. And I'm running to be a representative for the entire district to actually go up and bring your voice to the State House. It may be me standing up in the State House, but your voice will be heard. Please go to votethrasher.com, votethrasher.com, or excuse me, facebook.com/votethrasher. My number, by the way, if you ever want to call me, it's 508-938-9220. I am available all the time and will be election season and beyond. Thank you very much for your time to go on.
Again, I appreciate the opportunity to be heard, and I think Chris is right. We didn't touch base on everything. We didn't touch base on the migrant issue, affordability of housing units in the area that we got to take deep on. Obviously, those are some things that are going to play very early. I will say, it's going to be tough to be the voice of the people if most families can't even sit at a dinner table right now and all agree. This country is split down the middle. You can't possibly say you're gonna be the voice of everybody, but we have split almost down the middle. So that's a concern. Of course, we're going to listen to the people. Of course, we're going to push things forward. But in the end, we're going to get things done. You might not agree with everything. I'll be open and honest about it. And we're going to work very hard for you. If any of you want to see some of my background, I have flyers to hand out after this, or some of the folks with the Believe in Steve shirts out there have some. So I certainly hope you learned something tonight about us, learned something about the experiences, what we bring to the table, and what we can do for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you all again for coming. Thank you, Fen, for organizing this excellent debate. We really can come back to basics and come back to the table to discuss issues. It does not have to be one side or the other. In the words of Albert Einstein, we can't solve these problems with the same mode of thinking that got us into them. And that really is the truth.
We need to think creatively and be collaborative and look forward for the next 100 years. See what's working around the globe, see what's working around the country, both at the policy level and at the technology level. And work together to do what is in everyone's best interest, not push a red agenda or a blue agenda. We need to come back to our common humanity and remember why and how this country was formed. Constitutional rights are imperative. If we start eroding them, it does not go well very quickly. And so to keep the basics, as the framers of the Declaration of Independence put it, governments derive their just powers from the consent of the governed. The government works for the people and not the other way around. And I promise to be your voice, and if elected, I will be very available and I'm more than happy to help. Regardless of election day, I'm very happy to help protect and safeguard our community. Thank you for your time.
Once again, thank you, Leo. Ward 1 Neighborhood Association, providing me the opportunity to speak directly to the voters and answer your questions. As your candidate for state representative, I have shared with you what I believe are the most important issues. If you feel as I do, then I respectfully ask you and hope I can count on your vote. I don't have the political machine behind me, but like you, I am who I am, an independent thinker who, as your state representative, will work hard for you. I can promise you that when you speak, I will listen. And when work needs to get done, I will do what it needs to be done. And as your state representative, I pledge 100% to dedicate no less than 100% towards improving your families and my family's quality of life. I'm Randy Soares, your independent candidate for state representative, and I respectfully ask for your vote. Thank you, and God bless.
So I've been asked why I'm running as an independent. I think I've made that pretty clear. It's not that I have a problem with anyone that's a Republican or a Democrat. We all have to find ways to work together. Division is eating us alive. We need to get back to the basics, be human beings, and look out for one another. Elect somebody that's going to be in it for all of us. Okay? So as far as towing the party line, I've mentioned that a lot before. We have to make sure that when we go to that ballot box, that we are really looking long and hard at who is on that ballot and why. We don't want to have a yes man get elected. We don't need that. We don't need yes men to be elected. We need somebody that's going to look at you and listen to you and work for you, and work for these businesses, work for these families, and these seniors and veterans and these other people that are being overlooked, unfortunately. We don't need an opportunist. We don't need that perpetual candidate that just pops up that isn't from here, that just all of a sudden just one day appears and wants to save the world. We don't need that. Okay, we actually need effective leadership, somebody that's going to work for everyone, with everyone. I want to work for you. I want to be your independent voice, a true independent voice. Since the age of 18, I'm 41 now. I want to work for you. I want to get results done. People over party is a true thing for me. And it's something I came up with, and it's something that I believe in. Now, we need to make sure that going forward, that's how we vote. Stop looking at the R and the D. Look at me. I want to be your next state representative. I ask for your vote on November 5th. I will not let you down. I will put you first. I will put every town first. I will do my job. And if you want a government that listens to you, that works for you, that will not give up on you, you're looking at your next state representative right here. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Most especially, thank you for being out here
listening to these candidates. May I personally tell you that all of you inspire me. Thank you for having that attitude and for being there for all of us. And that goes for all of you public servants in New Bedford and Westport and in towns. This is our democracy, and I'm very inspired by you all. With that, thank you so very much for joining us, Scott Pemberton. A nice round of applause. Leo Chiquette, a very nice round of applause for putting this all together. And on behalf of everyone here, remember November 5th, God's blessings, and let's pray for those who are in harm's way with these hurricanes. Thank you, and good night.
Thank you, Phil Paleologus. I'm going to round of applause for Phil.